kind of good, right? It's good. Good music. What up, everybody? Welcome. I'm Ari Temkin. And this is Showtime on Phantom, where we talk Dallas sports. More specifically, we talk a lot of Dallas Cowboys sports. All right, hit the share button if you have not yet already. Cowboys have made a signing. Woo! They did it. From somebody not on the Cowboys. What's funny is, so yesterday I did this show, and people were mentioning that the Cowboys signed Christian Covington, and I noticed that in the comments. And I didn't really, I was like, yeah, they drafted him last year, the linebacker at Indiana. They have a guy on their team named Chris Covington, 6th-round pick. I think he played in 5 games. So I was like, now I knew Christian Covington played for the Texans, but I guess I was sort of confused because, they already have a guy on their team named Chris Covington, so pardon my confusion. But yeah, so Chris Covington, who plays for the Cowboys, has been added to the Cowboys. Christian Covington, they're two different players. They play on the Cowboys. So really, the Cowboys are only signing their own free agents and then players that are free agents from other teams but have the same name as players already on the team. I guess that's how it works. So, if there's another Zeke Elliott in the NFL or a guy that goes by Ezekiel Elliott, maybe they sign him. I don't really know. But that's it. So they signed Christian Covington. They already have Chris Covington. They bring back Tavon Austin. Jeff Swaim signs with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. I didn't think they were going to bring back Swaim regardless of Jason Witten. So, so that happens. Jeff Swaim is gone. Austin is back. Fleming is back. Cameron Fleming, swing tackle, cheap deal, good contract. Why not? And so is Christian Covington, the 3 technique. He's kind of very, very, very similar to Tyrone Crawford. He's Canadian. He is a 3 technique, can play on the outside, but can play on the inside. Kind of a 3, the type of 3 the Cowboys like, which is an interior defensive rusher, basically a guy that's going to rush the passer from inside. He fits the bill. I think he fits this defense better than he fit the Texans defense. So, if you want to go back and look at the fact that he only had like 3.5 sacks last year, whatever it was, 2 of them I think in 1 game, I wouldn't react too much to that. I think it's a different defense. And this is, we talked about this earlier in the week when the Cowboys didn't get Earl Thomas and there was all this disappointment, or a lot of disappointment, and it was like, why don't they go out and spend money and blah, 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 blah. And, look, at the end of the day, this is what the Cowboys do. They go out, they buy 5 lottery tickets, right? And so not everybody, Will McClay's not going to hit on everybody, but, remember Antoine Woods? Nobody knew who Antoine Woods was at this time last year. Maybe not even the Cowboys, but they brought him to training camp. Antoine Woods became a household name, right? He had a great year. So that's what Will McClay does. He's not going to hit on everybody, but he signs a lot of these, low risk, potential for high reward type guys. That's what they do. That's what the Cowboys do. Topo Chico, it's amazing. I really don't like mineral water. I never have. But I love Topo Chico. I don't know why. And it was always owned by it was always its own thing. Like Topo Chico owned Topo Chico, and then recently Coca-Cola bought them. So there you go. Ricky Madrano says Jordy Nelson's available. Yeah, I know. Why? Jordy Nelson is old. He doesn't I think Cowboys fans are enamored with certain names. Like if you have a name, Cowboys. I've heard a lot of people like Jordy Nelson, he doesn't fit. He's not, first of all, they're looking for a slot receiver, guy that can play the inside. If they want to sign anybody that's a former Packer, maybe they look at Randall Cobb. Today, though, we're going to be signing a new safety for the Cowboys. We're going to take a look at some of these safeties that are available because, though I don't think they should have spent $14 million on safety, they obviously do need to improve from Jeff Heath, and I think they will. So that's the big story today. Christian Ramirez Rams says Barry. William White says Witten is old. He is. That is a fact. This is on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page. Eric Doxson says, any thoughts in bringing in Barry? Yes, so the big topic today is we're going to pick a new safety. So Eric Berry, Glover Quinn, Andrew Sendejo, Trey Boston, Clayton Gathers, Georgia Loca. We've got names, so we're going to pick one. That's the big topic today. But the opening rant today, right here on Phantom. I'm Ari Temkin. You can catch me tonight and all this week. Hopefully you've been listening on 105.3 The Fan for the KNC Masterpiece. It's been a lot of fun. So I'll be on again tonight from 7 to 11. We actually had the G-Bag Nation on with us last night in the 9 o'clock hour. It was a lot of fun. So it was really cool. So if you like 105.3 The Fan, I would urge you to check out the show tonight from 7 to 11 with me. You can stream it at radio.com, or just if you live locally, just 105.3. And if you don't like 105.3 The Fan, what's wrong with you? Start listening to it. Jaime Tovar says Topo Chico with lemon and salt way better than alcohol. I mean, it's good. It's good. Okay, so Michael Wellman says, I remember when the Cowboys signed good free agents, the Cowboys used to go to the Super Bowl. Well, I think they went to one Super Bowl in the modern salary cap era. That's been kind of their issue, right? Like, they built some really good teams without a salary cap. In fact, you could argue the teams the Cowboys built without a salary cap is the reason there now is a salary cap. So, yeah, I mean, I've seen some things where people are calling the Cowboys cheap. And, it's cheap relative to the salary cap. And I don't, we've talked about this all week. I think you should all be frustrated and upset at the Cowboys' lack of activity in free agency and this constant bargain bin approach. I don't think, though I recognize that it is their philosophy, and we shouldn't be surprised when they don't make any moves because that's the philosophy that they have. I don't think it's the right philosophy. I don't think you go all or nothing. I just don't think you can constantly play the bargain bins in free agency. The Cowboys have issues at pass rush right now. They drafted a guy years ago in the second round who smokes a ton of pot and came off his best season last year, but we're not sure about when he's going to be available. And then if he is reinstated and plays games, who knows with Randy Gregory? He's a second-round pick, though. So they're counting on that guy to help in that position. David Irving is not a pick. He was an undrafted free agent, but the same thing. They put resources and time into him. They have Taco Charlton, who's a first-round pick at that position, who's not good. So So this is the issue, right? If you've drafted a Randy Gregory and Taco Charlton, and now you're not paying DeMarcus Lawrence, though I think they will, but they aren't paying him yet. If the strategy is we have to draft, we're gonna count on our draft picks. Well, they've missed at that position in a couple of places, and now their depth has been challenged, and that's a very important position, defensive end, obviously. So, that's where it's if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm really frustrated because it's hey, we need some help at the defensive end position. You can't just bring in Christian Covington, who, with all due respect to Christian Covington's a nice signing, and I like the upside potential there, but you've got to at some point take some risks on some guys with bigger names that are going to help you, that are a greater probability of helping you, right? For every Antoine Woods, there's 3 or 4 other guys that you never heard of because they didn't make it out of camp. That's the part of having 4, 5, 6 lottery tickets. You're not going to hit on everybody. So, at this point, take some money and spend some money at a position that is sorely needing help, like defensive end. At the defensive end position, or tight end. You can't just bring in Christian Covington. I'm not sure about that. With all due respect to Christian Covington's a nice signing, and I like the upside potential there, but you've got to at some point take some risks on some guys with bigger names that are going to help you. That are a greater probability of helping you. Right? Okay. For every Antoine Woods, there's 3 or 4 other guys that you never heard of because they didn't make it out of camp. That's the thing is, 4, 5, 6 lottery tickets. You look at the Saints. Everybody. Okay, so the Saints at this point re-signed Breeze. Take some money and spend some money at a position. Saints restructured Drew Brees' needing help, like defensive end. At the Drew Brees is going to count next season $43 million against the cap. You've got at some point take some risks. 43 guys with bigger names that are going to help. Okay, that are a greater probability. That doesn't mean he's going to make $43 million. He's going to count $43 million against the cap because this is what they've done, right? The idea of you can kind of overspend your salary cap and then restructure deals, which is what the Cowboys have done. It doesn't work. Okay, so the Cowboys Cowboys, the reason they're crying poor within the confines of the salary cap is because they don't want to be in a position like a lot of other teams are, where they're kicking the can down the road with these players, and then at some point they have to swallow a pill. A $43 million cap hit. It's ridiculous, right? So
he's going to count against the cap, because this is what they've done, right? Like the idea of
voices are you can kind of sound is horrible.
Spend your salary cap and then restructure.
Wow. How about now? Has it changed? Is this better? We good? We're good? Sorry everybody. I messed up, but we're good now, right? We're good. Cool. I stopped. Yeah, I know. Everybody's now okay. Sorry. All right. Everybody's saying fix your audio. I've got to wait for the comments to catch up to this live action. Sorry. It was an ill-advised decision by me, and I made a mistake, and I apologize for giving you double audio. Okay, better. Cool. Everybody's caught up. Cool. Welcome back. No double audio. We're gone. What were we talking about? So look. I understand the frustration. I mean, and I share in frustration. I don't think it's the right approach. I think, and this is obvious based on what we see in the league, like you have to draft well, and then you supplement areas where you don't draft well in free agency. The Cowboys are drafting well, but you're not going to be able to. It's really hard to draft really well, and even the Cowboys have drafted well, and they still have issues, right? So the way the Cowboys approach is draft well, and then supplement areas through low cost free agency bargain bin guys. I would say, that like the right approach that most teams are employing would be to draft well and then supplement areas, at least at some positions, through big name free agents or more expensive signings, guys that are more likely to hit, as opposed to the low risk, high reward, or the low risk, high reward kind of guys the Cowboys are constantly seeking. And that's what I think, right? Like, can the Cowboys now, if you look at the holes they have, right? You could certainly improve tight end, you can improve the wide receiver position, slot receiver. You can improve safety. You can improve defensive tackle, defensive end. Right? Like, that's five. They're not going to do all five of those positions in the draft. We haven't even gotten an offensive line yet, which now at this point doesn't look like it should be a priority based on bringing back Cam Fleming. And, they seem to be fortified there. But they sign Christian Covington, and it's like, are they set at pass rush? No. Eric Doxson says philosophy isn't working. But that's where the rubber meets the road for me, because while I'd like to see them be more active in free agency, I also don't know that that's the philosophy that's not working. I'd say the philosophy is working. The philosophy that's not working is the whole identifying the right coach and then having that coach the team philosophy. Like, that's the wrong philosophy. Again, I'll maintain. I think could this roster improve? Yes, especially I think pass rush at this point, without DeMarcus Lawrence side, David Irving's gone. I mean, there's three best pass rushers from last year: DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, David Irving. In terms of sacks, three best pass rushers were those three guys. So DeMarcus is unsigned, David Irving's gone, and Randy Gregory, we don't know. That's where you go and spend money at that position. But in terms of this philosophy, is it working? I don't agree with that. They have an extraordinarily talented roster, so that philosophy does work from a standpoint of their roster. But in terms of why they haven't won, why haven't they got past the division round? Because they don't have a coach that can adjust. You can't win in the playoffs unless you can adjust. And as we've talked about, I can't labor this point enough. The whole idea of lining up and just beating you, like we just saw in the playoffs, that doesn't work, because we saw teams that were more reactive and flexible, and that's what has to work. And there's a chance that this team could actually do that this year. A chance. Sean Moore says, all in Jerry's super yacht. The $250 million yacht, though, that he bought doesn't count against the cap. So, there is that. If it counted against the cap, it'd be frustrating. That's it. That's what I know people have heard me say this before, so I don't want to labor the same point. I'm just saying, when people are like, the philosophy's not working, it's like, well, okay, so for 10 years they had a bad philosophy, right? I'll agree there. So they won Super Bowls, and then, well, there was the Jerry Jimmy breakup, then Switz. I mean, then everybody got old and they stopped winning Super Bowls, and Jerry was like not drafting well and signing bad players to long bad contracts. Like they were just bad. It was just so everybody said Jerry's got to give it up, and he did. So like yeah, the idea of classifying this last 2 decades as the same is wrong. Now the frustration of 24, 25 years remains. That doesn't matter that the philosophy's changed. Right? Like, I don't care that it's 2 different philosophies the last 2 decades. It's still 24 years of no winning. So I get that. TJ Carpenter, also they got to get rid of the franchise tag. You talking about the players? I mean, that's something the players and owners negotiated in the last CBA. I'm sure it'll be a point of contention in the next CBA, and we're definitely not going to have football in a couple of years, which, could not be good. Michael Fletcher on Phantom says, bottom line is we can't overspend on past the prime players. Everybody's still mad about Earl Thomas, but we wouldn't be stupid to pay him that much money. I don't know that everybody's still mad about him. I think everybody's mad that they're not signing anybody. I think people are mad because it's 24 years of not winning a Super Bowl, 24 years of not getting to the NFC Championship game, and it's Jason Garrett's back. I mean, look, most fans don't like Jason Garrett. Most fans don't think Jason Garrett's good, right? So I think Cowboys fans look at this and say, you haven't won a Super Bowl in over 2 decades. We need things to change so that we believe that you can win. And fans aren't seeing that. I understand that. Like at this point, they're saying we believe our offense will be improved based on Kellen Moore being the offensive coordinator. All right, on the Dallas Cowboys America's team page. By the way, keep the comments coming. Hit that share button if you have not yet already. I'd really appreciate that. That'd be great. Thank you, please. Robert Jankarich? I don't know. Tell me how to pronounce your name, Robert. How about Jerry doesn't pay Dak and just give him the yacht? It's a good deal. That's good thinking. Like then that one, they just tell the league they've turned into a contract extension for Dak Prescott that it counts as $0. We're not going to pay him. And he's going to sell that yacht. The yacht behind him. I know, like when you buy a new car, they say you drive it off the lot and it like depreciates by more than 50%, right? What about a yacht? When you like, how much has the $250 million yacht depreciated? Like, how much could he sell that? Because now I'm starting to think if they didn't pay Dak or they gave him sort of one of those, low contracts, one of those Tom Brady specials. Even though he did have a decent cap number this year, like, and then they're like, here, Dak, just sell this, and then you can live off of that. Would he get $150 million? $100 million? What would he get for that? How much does a yacht depreciate after you drive the yacht off the lot? TJ Carpenter, the yacht is actually worth negative money now. You actually have to pay somebody to take it. Camille Horton says bringing back Witten was a waste of money. I don't know about that. I would say it's good and it helps the team, and I was excited about it, and I still am. Now, we might get to the year. We might get to the end of the year, and we have a different. We feel differently about it. But then Camille follows up his bringing back Witt was a waste of money with that $3.5 million could have went towards getting Earl Thomas. Camille, you think the Cowboys didn't sign Earl Thomas over $3.5 million? The Ravens signed a 30-year-old safety who hasn't played a full 16 games in 4 years, to $13.5 million a year. You think the difference was $3.5 million? What are you, crazy? Albert Carrizosa says, what's up, Ari? Switch for my break, 10 to 11 on Pacific time. Day off today. Nice. You missed my double audio, which people got upset about. Don Valerial says, all I know is we need to sign Tank. Yeah. Bob Hack says, a yacht's like a Bugatti. It's not depreciating much at all. Drive the Bugatti off the lot, it does not appreciate. I bet it still does. You're not going to drive off a Bugatti off the lot and then turn around and sell it. You drive it for like 20 miles and then sell it. TJ Carpenter, I think the Cowboys didn't sign ET over looming major contracts for other players already on the team. Right, and that's exactly right. I mean that's exactly right. And maybe more importantly, over one major looming contract for Tank, for Tank Lawrence. But also, like they they could overspend and then be like the Saints, be like the Cowboys used to be, and like just constantly restructure guys. And then you're going to get to a point in time where you have to pay Drew Brees $43 million against the cap, which is not what you want to be. All right, should we pick a new tight end? I think we've labored this point. They should be more aggressive. We'd like to be more aggressive. They don't have a wrong philosophy. They have the wrong coach. We got all that right. Okay, so let's talk. Let's pick a new safety. Should we do that? Let's trade Boston. Now, the Cowboys thought maybe they'd get Earl Thomas, but I think like Trey Boston, Tyrann Mathieu, Georgia Loca, a few others were available for the Cowboys to pick up last year, like late into. I want to say Tyrann Mathieu was like signed before training camp, right? So all these guys. Now Mathieu basically got twice as much money. Honey Badger basically got twice as much money for the same production year over year. I don't get it, but it's what happened. So obviously he was off the board, but they could have had him. I mean, he was a $5 million base with incentives. They got him up to $7 million last year with Houston. You think about that. He was a bargain. Cowboys should have signed him last year, but they didn't, and they would have lost him this year. So who cares? So, Charlie Hall says Dak is better than you think. Me? Dak is better than I think? How good do you think I think Dak is? Yeah, I think that's right. Nice to talk to you. I mean, I think he's between 11 and 15 in the NFL. Do you think he's higher than that? If you do, then tell me the quarterbacks that are 1 through 10 that he's better than. Josh Sater says sign Eifert, low risk, high reward. That's the thing. If you want to complain about the Witten signing, it's because they can't sign Eifert. Now they can't. I mean, you have Jarwin, Schultz, and Witten. All right, that's 3. That's already 3 tight ends, and you're usually not keeping more than 3. Most teams aren't going to keep more than 3 tight ends, right? So if you then signed Eifert 4, but the whole thing with me was Eifert, Witten, and then because the Cowboys need to draft a tight end. This is a good draft class, and I just don't know how much faith I have in Dalton Schultz to be the type of guy they need him to be. Now, maybe they do, and therefore they could sign Eifert. I think you can go to camp with 4. Eifert's too much of a risk to bring him. Like, Witten undid your ability to go and take a risk on a guy like Eifert, who's played in very few games in recent history. Kerry Teagle thinks Xavier Woods is going to be something special. Maybe. I mean, what's special? Like, you think he's going to be Earl Thomas special? What's special? I mean, I don't think he's going to be Earl Thomas special. Dom Villarreal or Villarreal or Valerio says, do you think Tavon is going to step up? Yeah, I mean, look, Tavon is not a Cole Beasley replacement, and maybe the Cowboys want him to be, but I think the Cowboys want to continue to use him the same way they've used him. As a X receiver that can run that 9 route, the fly pattern, jet sweeps. I know Cowboys fans love that, but motion stuff in the backfield. I mean, he's a guy that's always been a high carry guy. I just don't see him as a slot receiver. Now, maybe they will use him as a Cole replacement. I don't think so. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, I like Tavon Austin. It's another low risk signing. I mean, hopefully he can stay healthy. He's been healthy most of his career. Just hadn't produced at that high of a level, but he's been healthy his whole career, most of his career. So, Clinton Dix has been signed. He signed with the Bears yesterday. Charles Grau is asking about him. So that's funny. Drew Townsend. He said, is going to the Redskins. Do your research. What? Sorry, Drew. You kind of brought this on yourself. He signed with the Bears. He was traded to the Redskins, then just signed with the Bears. Do your research, Drew. It's just funny you said. Now he's saying Bears. My bad. It's just funny that you said do your research. If you didn't say that, then you wouldn't have put yourself out there for ridicule. But I still love you. Terrence Short says no. Paper mache. Tavon Austin. I mean, he got hurt this year, but you look at his career. He's played in a lot of games throughout the course of his career. Like, yeah, his issue has been missing games. His issue has been not being good in games. But no, I mean, I like him. I mean, it's low risk. He plays in 15, 16 games, and gives you decent numbers. I think he's a fine weapon. They need to improve their wide receiving core. I don't think there's any question, in my opinion, they need to. I hope the Cowboys feel like they need to, because at this point, then all they're saying is our offense will be better simply because we'll have a new offensive coordinator, which is true, but I don't know how much influence he'll be able to have. So Terrence Short says Cowboys definitely need an upgraded strong safety. Maybe Taylor Rapp in the draft. So instead of the draft, which certainly they could, and I think a lot of that depends on who's available at 58 and how they feel about certain guys. There's Abram from Mississippi State too, who a lot of people like. So I agree. I was not for spending a bunch of money at the safety position in free agency. That doesn't mean I'm not for improving the safety position in free agency, and so that's where the Cowboys are, and I think they are going to. I think the Cowboys at this point last year felt like Jeff Heath was good enough, and that's the thing is Jeff Heath is an easy. A lot of fans don't like Jeff Heath, think he's bad. I would say up until the second half of this past season, he was average. At times he was above average. At times he was below average. Okay, but on the whole, average. You're not going to lose with Jeff Heath. He's fine. He's fine at that position, which is not a premium position in the National Football League. It's not. That's why you don't spend $14 million on it. That's why you don't spend $14 million on a running back, but I digress. Cowboys are probably going to, though they shouldn't. Don't sign Zeke. It's too much money for a position that's easily replaceable based on that much money. But I digress. For now, until somebody complains that I said that. But Heath was bad in the second half of the season, and he was really bad in the Rams game. And that's what stands out the most, right? He missed a bunch of tackles in that game. So I get it. The Cowboys can't go into this season feeling as comfortable as they did going into last season with Jeff Heath. So Xavier Woods has been telling everybody who will listen that he's upset. He's mad. The Cowboys pursued Earl Thomas. I mean, okay, bro. The Cowboys don't sign anybody. So it's the one time they've maybe thought about signing somebody from outside the team, and now the one you know how many teams are signing players from outside the organization, and the Cowboys don't ever do it for a decade, and now you're the one time they do it, you're going to complain about it. I don't think the Cowboys think they need to replace Xavier Woods, so he's kind of, though he's I play free safety and so does Earl Thomas, it's kind of misplaced, you know. So yeah, Jance Mason asks if Barry Church is available. Yes, he is. So who are we getting? Kerry Carlton Jr. says Zeke is not easily replaced. Ari. Could you get that same production or similar production for significantly less money? Yes. Ergo, he's easily replaced. Plus, if you pay him $14 million, you're going to give him a ton of. 60% of the game is going to be running the football, which is not the right thing to do. It's less efficient. You're going to score more points over the course of a game, over the course of a season, when you throw more than when you run. If you're 60-40 throw to run, you're going to score more points. So if you give him 14, 15, 16 million, now you're not going to be 60-40 run, and just based on that, you're going to score less points, less efficient. So that's why I'm not paying $14 million or $18 million for Zeke. It makes no sense to spend that much money when, if you have the right schemes, you can, replace that production. Okay, so let's find a new safety. That's the guy you're seeing pictured right now is Clayton Gathers. Oh, he's gone. Clayton Gathers, and I don't think the Cowboys have, they keep saying, the one thing they keep saying is, we've heard this so many times from them. This safety doesn't fit us. They've said that so many times. So many times. So many times. This safety doesn't fit us. Terrence Short says, Zeke's a killer. He can score anytime he touches the football. I mean, so can anybody. If you give him the ball. I'm just telling you, throwing is more efficient than running. Meaning, if you throw more times than you run, you will score more points, regardless of who your running back is. It could be Walter Payton or Zeke Elliott. In the modern era, when you throw more than you run, you score more points. So if you're for scoring more points, then you should be for throwing the ball more, which means you can't pay your running back tons of money when you're throwing the ball more than you're running. And you have to be able to run and be effective at it, but you look at the majority of teams, that are doing it, it's late draft picks, it's cheap contracts, and they get tons of production at that position. I mean, my goodness, the Rams got 8 yards a carry in the Cowboys game with C.J. Anderson. And C.J. Anderson, when he replaced Todd Gurley, was averaging 7 yards a carry. Look at the Patriots. James White, cheap. Sony Michel, rookie contract. They never teams. Smart teams that are trying to score more points aren't overpaying for a running back. Considering, again, production at the level of production you get at 15, 16, 17, 18 million, not nearly, I mean, you can get a little bit less production, but still have the same impact at 2, 3, 4 million. It's about playing bingo on the salary cap. Emmitt Smith would disagree. Yeah, but that's in this era. That Emmitt Smith played 30 years ago. Right, so in that era, it's a different story, but the game's changed and evolved. The rules have changed. You have to adjust your strategy. Like Jance, you're trying to win like Jason Garrett is in the 90s. Good luck. And Albert, by the way, makes the important point. And this is, I mean, Albert Carrizosa says, you're talking about letting Zeke go after this year or after a tag or two of the possible trade to avoid the Bell situation? Yes, what I'm talking about is what I would do is if I were the Cowboys is let him play out the final 2 years of his contract, and then I would tag him for 2 years. Yes, that's what I would do. I don't think, and yes, Dean Cruz and the Rams did play Gurley, and I bet you they're regretting it. I don't think that Zeke's going to allow them to do that, right? Because Zeke's not stupid. He's going to see that, and so he doesn't want, like Le'Veon Bell, his value to be diminished. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm keeping Zeke for the next 4 years based on 2 more years of control, and then two tags, and then we'll see, what he has left. Because at that point, we're talking about how much wear and tear is on his body now, and then 4 more years basically. Because the Cowboys could control him for 4 more years. Now it's not cheap. What's funny is even though he's on a rookie contract, since he's a top 4 pick, he's not cheap by any means, especially relative to the other, the players at his position. That's kind of what it's about, guys. It's every position has a certain value for average contract. So there's a dollar amount associated with a certain amount of production, right? And so that's how you have to work within the confines of the salary cap. How much production is worth this much money at this position, right? So if you have a rookie quarterback who's a top 5 pick, he's going to make significantly less money than most quarterbacks on all quarterbacks their second contract. Zeke and Saquon Barkley, on the other hand, are making more money than most running backs. All running backs on their second contract, save for Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley. They're not there, but they're at the second level. So, I mean, rookie quarterbacks that are top 5 picks are here, and the rest of the class is here. Sorry, I have to make sure and it's like this for running backs. So they're already going to control them for 4 years at a pretty high rate. Sean Moore just wants to blow it up. He's saying trade Zeke and Tank now. I don't know that I would. Daniel Zano says you need the best players at every position when you can get them. You have to factor in the salary cap. I don't know how, if you're going to spend 15 to 20 million on running back, which two or three teams in the NFL are doing that, then you're not spending at other positions that are important, right? So, again, I wouldn't pay Zeke, but that's only because, again, I think you can get similar production at a significantly less cost. I mean, you can, and passing is more important than running. And lastly, I would keep him even at the rate that it would cost to franchise tag him and on and on and on. Only I don't think I think he's going to hold out. He might hold out this year. Then what do you do? If he holds out this year, what do? You give him a $18 million a year contract? RCMC Scott says trade Lyle Collins, jump back in the first round. You think the Cowboys can trade Lyle Collins for a first-round pick? I don't know what, third, fourth. Cowboys can't trade Lyle Collins for a first-round pick. Bradley Grimson says, let's pick a safety. Hey. Wayne Gibson says, Zeke Elliott signed a forward contract, $25 million with the Cowboys, including $16 signing bonus, $25 guaranteed, an average annual salary of $6. In 2019, earned a base of $3 while carrying a cap of So, right, I mean, you sign a rookie contract and it escalates every year. You make more money every year. So I'm guessing he's making $8 million this year, which, I mean, what are the highest paid running backs in the NFL making? We'll pick a safety in a second, Bradley. Let's see. Highest paid running backs in the NFL. Todd Gurley's at $14 million. He's the highest paid. Le'Veon Bell's $13 million. David Johnson, $13 million. Devontae Freeman, $8 million. LaShawn McCoy, $8 million. Saquon Barkley, $8 million. Zeke's at $6 million. This is for 20. So, okay. So Saquon Barkley, who's on a rookie contract, is the 6th highest paid running back in the NFL. The 6th highest paid quarterback in the NFL is not a rookie. You want to get to the highest paid rookie on that list, they're probably like 20th, 21st. Like, that's a significant difference. If you're on a top 5 rookie contract, like Saquon Barkley, and he'll make more money because he was an earlier pick than Zeke was, that's a significant difference between 2 and 4. Saquon Barkley is the 6th highest paid running back in the NFL. And yes, to Sean Moore's point, do you notice something else about Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, David Johnson, Devontae Freeman, LaShawn McCoy, Saquon Barkley, Jerick McKinnon, Leonard Fournette, Lamar Miller, Zeke Elliott, Duke Johnson? This is just in order of the highest paid running backs in the NFL. Probably a reason why the Cowboys can't trade for Duke Johnson. He makes $5 million. So you'd have 2 of the top 15 highest paid running backs in the NFL if you traded for Duke Johnson. James White. James White is lowest on that list in terms of guys that have won Super Bowl. He makes $4 million a year. And Rex Burkhead. So the Patriots have 2 running backs, James White and Rex Burkhead, that combine to make $7.25 million. 2 different running backs, 2 different skill sets, 2 different styles, 2 different playing ways. And those guys together make less money than Jerick McKinnon. Okay. So, let's pick a safety, shall we? I don't think the Cowboys have to pick a strong safety. I think the Cowboys can sign a free safety and kind of do a different style with Xavier Woods and free safety. Like, I think they go with the guy that they like the best. Now, the Cowboys, again, keep saying, like, none of these safeties fit us. So they always say, like, literally no safeties fit this team other than the ones they draft. It's mind-boggling. But let's just assume that they're willing to say, well, maybe some of these guys fit us a little bit better than we think. So they're going to be willing to, move on one of these guys. So Clayton Gathers is a guy you may not have heard of. This is Eric Berry. Well, should we start with Eric Berry? Eric Berry's the name. Everybody wants Eric Berry. Everybody's enamored with him because he, at one point, was the best safety in football. Since then, he had cancer and overcame it. I believe it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Holy crap. And then has not, he's played in 3 games in the last 2 seasons. Eric Berry has played in 3 games in the last 2 seasons. He played in 16 games in 2016, and that was his last All-Pro year. And he was an All-Pro. He was 4 interceptions, 77 tackles, had 2 touchdowns, 4 picks and 2 touchdowns. So, look, I am not against signing Eric Berry, but He's 30. He's played in 3 games in 2. He played in 2 games last year and 1 in 2017. So if you don't like Jeff Heath, which you probably don't, and you go out and spend a little bit of money, like they're only going to be able to sign one of these guys, and you spend that on Eric Berry, what's the likelihood that Jeff Heath is going to be starting again? That's what you have to ask yourself. That's what you have to ask yourself when it comes to Eric Berry. If you really want Eric Berry, you have to say he's played in 3 games the last 2 seasons. So if I don't want Jeff Heath starting and I sign Eric Berry, how likely am I to have Jeff Heath starting by the end of the year? I'd say pretty likely. Now, if not, then that's a great low risk, potential for high reward. But there's other guys available that maybe are a better risk for the idea that I don't want to see Jeff Heath on the field again this year. With apologies to Jeff Heath, who I like. He's a good dude. Clayton Gathers, 6'2", 220 from the Colts, is available. He's 26 years old, about to be 27. He just finished his 5th year in the league. He's played both free safety and strong safety. Last year was his best year by far. He was good. 89 tackles. So you'd like to have a good, cover guy at that position, but 89 total tackles is pretty good. It's a guy that like if the issue for Jeff Heath was he struggled at times to make tackles, especially in that Rams game. Well, I mean, Clayton Gathers, to me, looks like the best bet for that. Now, I can't speak to his coverage skills, and he's only played in 12 games, and the year before that, he was a free safety and only played in 5 games, so availability seems to be an issue with him, too, and he's young. Trey Boston, this is the guy pictured right here. He's a little bit older. He's played 5 years in the league. He's played for Carolina, the Chargers, and then the Cardinals. Boston last year with the Cardinals, 79 tackles. Had a tackle for loss, 3 quarterback hits. Also had 3 INTs. Pretty good season for Trey Boston. And the year before that, so he's basically got 2 straight years with 2 different teams. He's going to be on his 3rd team in 3 years with pretty good production at the position. So he played in 16 games for the Chargers in 2017. Had 5 picks, 79 total tackles. And last year he had 3 picks and 79 total tackles for the Cardinals. What's wrong with Trey Boston? Why does he keep fighting new teams? Trey Boston, 6 foot, 205 pounds. He's played free safety most of his career, but he can play strong safety and did last year. Played strong safety last year next to Tyrann Mathieu. Andrew Sendejo is a guy from the San Antonio area. Went to Rice. I know him. He's pictured right here. Good timing. Smithson Valley High School. San Antonio area. He's a guy that worked. He's undrafted free agent, signed with the Cowboys, played with the Cowboys in 2010 at 23 years old. I think he was on the practice squad most of that year, and then signed to the Vikings practice squad and basically worked his way up that practice squad until he became a major contributor and starter on some good defenses, some dominant defenses. I think the reason that he got let go is because they feel like, he's now going to be 32. He's older. It looks like his career has gone like this. So I like Sendejo. They could probably sign Sendejo and somebody else and be okay, right? Like I don't think Sendejo is going to command much of a market to where they'd be competing. Like they couldn't sign Gathers or Boston and him. I think they probably could. The other guy that you may know is Glover Quinn, who's old but's been good. 6 foot, 207 pounds. 33 years old this year. He's played the entire career for the Texans and the Lions. He's played for the last 6 years for the Lions, and he's been good. 74 tackles last year, no picks. He had 3 picks the year before that. I mean, he's been a guy that's had a lot of interceptions over the course of his career, but no picks last year. Had 7 picks his second year in Detroit. He was dominant his second year in Detroit. 7 picks, 74 tackles. He too is a guy that's played free safety basically most of his career and is probably better suited at that position. Trey Boston or Clayton Gathers are the 2 guys I'm looking at, though I wouldn't be upset with Eric Berry. I'm just, again, very, very worried about his health. I am, too, about Gathers. I don't know what's wrong with Trey Boston. What's wrong with Trey Boston? Why has he had 2 great years back-to-back, and he's now going to be on his 3rd team in 3 years? Why? And I know, again, people are bringing up the draft, which I get, but okay, here's the draft. They have to draft corners. They have to draft defensive linemen, both tackles and ends. They have to draft tight end. They have to draft wide receiver, slot, right? So I mean, and a lot of this depends on how the board falls. If Abrams there at 58 and they like him, maybe they take him. If safety's there at 58 and they like him, maybe they take him. I don't think that means, though, because remember, the draft is still, they've got time now between now and the draft to still sign one of these guys. I know Sean Moore brought up Adrian Phillips, who I have talked about before, but didn't bring up today. In the last few moments of this show today, Adrian Phillips has not yet signed. Do you not believe? And it's funny, he's played all different. He played cornerback, he's played linebacker, which means he can be strong safety. Trey Boston, Richard guy. MC Scott says O-line needs competition and depth, right? And I didn't even name offensive line. I just went through a bunch of positions that they have to focus the draft on, and I wouldn't disagree that the offensive line does, but I don't know. Jacob Hart says we're going to take a receiver with our first pick. So, tight end, defensive tackle, defensive end, offensive line, safety. They're taking 5 different positions with their second round pick. I believe they'll stay true to their board, but I believe they're going to take a defensive tackle, defensive end with their second round pick. That's what I think. Drew Towns says George Iloka. But they said no. George Iloka was the type of guy that got cut after playing the Cowboys in preseason this year with Cincinnati. Cowboys played the Bengals in preseason, and George Iloka played and actually played well. I think he picked Dak in that game, if I'm not mistaken. And the Cowboys, then he got cut, and the Cowboys were like, no. So they didn't think he was a good fit last year. I don't know why they would this year. And certainly if it's Eric Berry, Adrian Phillips, Clayton Gathers, or Trey. Again, Trey Boston, I don't really understand why Trey Boston hasn't been a fit for other teams. I'd like Boston. Adrian Phillips is a guy I brought up before. He's young. He hasn't played a ton of football, but the last couple of years has really come on strong. He's played in all 16 games this year for the Chargers. Had his best year. He was a Pro Bowler, 94 tackles. Has he signed yet? I don't think he's signed yet. Somebody help me out with this. Is Adrian Phillips signed? Yeah, Adrian Phillips is still outside. So, we shall see. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'm Ari Temkin. This Showtime on Phantom. I'm back Monday. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Enjoy this. Shout out to all of you who are part of the show, who stream the show, are part of this community every day. This show wouldn't exist without you. So thank you. Sean Moore and Zach Kazos and Neil Favre and Joe Tranchina and Zach Rosenberg and Michael Lafferty, Drew Towns, Dusty Brannon, Rick Shelker, Jenny Yuri, Sean Moore. I think I mentioned him already, but second shout out, Daniel Lozano, Keith Price, Jance Mason. I wish I shared your same enthusiasm for every question mark, RCMC Scott. My favorite is fans. It's like every question mark is this guy's going to be legit. Like Cedric Wilson, maybe. Who knows? But there's just no precedent of rookie wide receiver stepping in and having a good season. And remember, he's a rookie because he didn't play it all last year. But I digress. Maybe he will be. We'll see. Cowboys have had success at Boise State, guys. Wayne Gibson. Anyways, Niesol. What up, Niesol? I didn't see you. Anthony Granger, and on and on and on. All right. Shout out, everybody. Thank you again. Enjoy your weekend. Maybe Monday we'll be talking about all these moves the Cowboys made over the weekend. Eric Berry and Trey Boston and who knows? Maybe. Probably not, though.